I buy a lot of shoutouts on Instagram to try and get people to watch my shit. And there are some times where I'll get like 10,000 likes on a video and it does really well. And sometimes I'll get like 500 likes on a video.
It can get hard because then you're like, oh, is that page just not very good? Or was the content not good? We're back with Cardinal Mason. We're going to do a problem solver format. If you've been watching for last couple weeks, I've done a few of these problem solver formats. So this will be fun. Here's how it works. Mason and I have both come to the pod with a couple problems that we're just working on, right? Like we're looking for a solution, something's bugging us. It could be problems in our business, it could be personal life things. We're going to share our problems, but this is an event session. This is so that we can have a brainstorming session on solutions to those problems. And the benefit here, obviously, is that you can kind of work through how people who are having success solve problems and how their brains work. So I'll go first. There's one specifically that I kind of want to talk to you about, you specifically. I almost called you a week ago, and then I was like, nope, save it for the pod, John.
Yeah, cool.
And if we don't do it, that's okay. I'll just call you some other time. But here's what it is. I've been thinking I've been against creating an offer, like a course or any kind of since I've sold my agency that was like a done for you, where I would run people's ads for them. I have been resistant to creating an offer. That's my business that I can scale up with outreach or paid ads or content or anything like that. So basically all the content I make goes to nothing. You can't really buy from me unless you want to come buy from Triple Whale and book consulting with me. And, I have recently been more thinking along the lines I kind of want to launch something, but there's plenty of restrictions, right? Because I can't be overly competitive with what I'm doing with Triple Whale. It really can't be competitive with what I'm doing with Triple Whale and stuff like that. And I don't have a ton of time. So I do have some ways around that, some people I know who can help and stuff like that. But I can't put a lot of my own time investment into it. So that's one of mine. And then the other one of mine that I'll say is more of a personal one is it's an ADD thing, ADHD thing. I feel like I've noticed lately, I've had different routines and things that have worked for me and stuff like that. I feel like I've noticed lately I'm doing a lot more, and maybe it's because I'm creating content more and posting content more. I'm doing a lot more the feeling when you walk into a room and you forget why you're in there. I feel like that at work all day because I go to post something on LinkedIn and then I'm there for 10 minutes. I'm like, what the hell did I come in here for? Or I would go to post something on Twitter and I just end up doom scrolling Twitter. And I'm like, there's got to be a better way here. Or I need a better way of some better methodology for focusing on what I actually need to get done and still doing the stuff. Because the way I told my wife is I was like, it's basically I work in this very distracting environment. So, but I need to work in that environment. So how do I work in that environment without getting distracted by it? And I think it's maybe a switch from working in ads manager a lot and stuff like that. So those are my two, man. Any follow-up questions before you get into your two?
So wait, you're saying specifically the distracting part of your environment is the fact that you are dancing along the edge of a content black hole where it's
right.
You just enter the room so you can say something, but then if you get sucked in, it's over, right?
Yeah. So I think a lot of it is doing content, right? Because dude, for example, if you upload a YouTube video, or if I go on YouTube to be oh, let me research some good ideas for this podcast episode, or let me look at, dude, it's just so easy. You're like you said, you're dancing on the edge of going down an unproductive rabbit hole and actually doing research, or going down an unproductive rabbit hole and actually doing the engagement you're trying to do or whatever. And obviously you can get people to do that, but I think at a certain point it's genuineness helps. So yeah, anyway, that's kind of what it is. And then also I think that a lot of my work has shifted to Slack, email, and social channels, where a lot of it used to more be in Canva, ads manager, that kind of where you can kind of dial in deep work and focus a little bit more.
Right. Okay. What do you enjoy more? Do you enjoy the Slack, email, social, or do you enjoy the deep creative work?
I enjoy. I mean, there's a lot of things I don't really like about like email, like following up with people, remembering to follow up with people and stuff like that. Kind of hate that.
Mhm.
But like, yeah, I do enjoy like the higher leverage. What I feel like is higher leverage work of like doing true creative work. You know,
Got you. Okay.
like deep
Um,
creative work. I wouldn't say ads manager is deep creative work, or like even Canva kind of is, I guess. But it's more like it's just easier to get stuff done in there. It's you're not getting distracted.
well, the reason I say is because I'm comparing it to what I used to do, what used to be my day to day.
Uh
So,
huh.
like, when I was working with you at Structured, and obviously when I was freelancing and like in the agency, my own included, that was when I was in Google Docs, I was in Notion.
Yeah,
You know, it was
places
just,
where it's designed for you to focus.
yeah, like Notion is a great tool that like, not sponsored by the way, but
Yeah.
like there's nothing there. It's
Right.
actually boring as fuck to look at, but it's like, it's like an empty room where it's like you can just focus on what you need to write.
Right.
I enjoy Notion for that reason.
Yeah.
But do you want to jam on the solutions now, or do you
I
want
want
to?
to no. I want to hear your two, and then we're gonna pick one of the four.
Okay, so my personal is actually pretty similar to yours, so I'll say that for last. But
Ooh.
my business problem right now is what I wrote down as making people give a shit at scale. So that
Mm.
includes customers and team members. And you know that Paul Graham quote that's like, "Do things that don't scale."
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
You're really good at that.
David Bozen told me that like a long time ago, and I was like, "Huh, that's interesting."
Yeah.
And I've just like, there's a lot of things that I can do with my own human time and energy to like foster that in people. And by give a shit, I mean like they're invested into something, like
Hmm.
they literally just care. Like they want to spend money, they want to spend time, they want to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like on the customer side, it's like they really want my products, they really want to work with me. And on the team side, it's like
Mm.
they like really want to, build something alongside me. I'm the person
Yes.
they work with. They want to think about like how to basically make the company money when they're not on the clock, right?
I'm gonna rephrase this a little bit and summarize it kind of, and tell me if I'm labeling it correctly. So, uh, because I've had the same issue before, you find maybe that customers and people who buy from you don't necessarily want the product as much as they want you. Like they're like, I'm sold on Mason, so whatever it is he's selling, I'm kind of sold on that as well.
Okay,
Um,
let me rephrase.
okay.
So they want both. They want the product and they want me, but they may be lukewarm about it until I do something that's manually non-scalable. So like for example,
Right.
like there were a couple of people. So I have like a couple of closers, salespeople that are
Uh-huh.
hopping on all day long with prospects to get them into my flagship, the Inner Circle.
Yeah.
And yesterday I just happened to have some extra time on my hands, and my
Yeah.
one was running late to one call, and I saw the one guy sitting in there in the Zoom in the Google Meets room. So I hopped on and I said, "What's up?" And I was like, "Oh, hey man, like just wanted to. I saw my guys like I just on another call. He probably texted you, but I just want to say what's up. You know what I mean? And just like introduce myself. How's it going? I never do that because
He
like
was like, "Oh, damn, you're Mason."
yeah, we have like 20 calls a day. I can't possibly just,
Yeah.
join every single call. And so, yeah, they'll do that. They'll be like, oh, like, what's up? And so that is that makes people want to, buy the thing. They want
Yeah.
to invest. They want to be around me. You know what I mean? And with on the team member side, it's like, I know that I can like spend an hour on FaceTime a day with a team member and like make them fired up and make them really care and make them super invested in what I have to do. But I don't have an hour a day for every single person on my team. We got like 12 people now that
Yep.
are full time, and so it's a challenge to
I
sort of
understand this. Yeah.
add
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
layer of like
The,
trust,
the, the
investment.
bottleneck in your business is your time, creativity, personality. Because either because talent wise you're one of the most talented, or because you like care the most, or because you have the recognition and personal brand. One of those reasons.
Yeah,
Different versions of those reasons in different situations.
right. Like they see me as like
Yes,
the, the problem they're
this
trying to
is
solve.
something my brain has worked on a lot throughout various, because I had to deal with this with Shaq, with Nick Shackelford. People want him. They wanted to work with him, and we had to figure out how to make them want to work with a department that he really doesn't touch at all. Um, so yeah, that's a good one. We can talk about that one. And then what's your other one?
The other one was like more dopamine control, like a healthy way to get dopamine. So like, I mean, I spend a fair
Dude,
bit of time.
I feel like I would be the blind leading the blind on this, but go ahead.
Yeah, maybe we can put our heads together on that one and solve it for both of us. Uh,
Yeah, go ahead.
but I mean, dude, like I'm a little dopamine monkey. You know what I mean? I'm scrolling a lot. I have like these dumbass little mobile games. Like, you ever play Dunk Shot on your phone?
Yeah, dude. Oh my gosh, mobile games are like I gotta delete them because it's like,
Yeah.
what is this? Is not good. This isn't
Okay,
healthy.
so there was a I have an old phone. I had like a 14 Pro or something like that, where I had this game on it that was it was called Golf Battle. And
Uh-huh.
dude, it's like, and it's not even just like something you can mindlessly do and then stop when you want. Like, you earn money, not real money, but you earn like money in the game, and you're like in a match. So like, you get matched with a bunch of real players and you're
Yeah,
playing against them. Whoever gets the least shots
yeah.
wins. And like, dude, I spent hours a day, like before Christmas, like, because December was a slow month, no one was doing anything. So
This is not stuff that you hear like successful entrepreneurs saying a lot. Like, yeah, I play a lot of games on my phone. You know,
it was ridiculous. Like, dude, like the last month of the year where it's like, let's push hard, let's try and get some record numbers up
you're
here.
like, yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah. No
literally
doubt, no
playing
doubt. Hold
golf.
on, real quick. I gotta, yeah.
Yeah, I'm in a game, bro. Give me one. And I got a new phone and I didn't download it because I didn't want to delete it off my phone because I have a lot of progress on there. And it's not attached to my iCloud, so I can't just re-download it and like restore.
Yeah,
So I had to like leave it on there. I have like $8 million in this game.
yeah.
So I on this new phone, I didn't download it, but I was just like, there was one day that I was just so bored. I was like waiting for something, and I was just like, I've finished Twitter. You know what I mean? Like, I got to the
I
bottom
can't,
of
dude.
Twitter,
I can't believe you ever get bored. That's crazy.
scrolled all the way back of like 2014, and I was like, all right, I've done enough Twitter, and then I
You went
downloaded
down your John Mayer rabbit hole. You're done.
right, yeah. I did, yeah. I downloaded Dunk Shot, and just like every day I've just been putting up like little numbers. You know what I mean? Like, now it's like, fuck. Like, now I'm in Dunk Shot, and I don't want to delete it because it's so much fun, bro. And I just know I'm gonna download it again. Like,
You're back in.
that plus
Dude, what you
TikTok.
just described is addict behavior, by the way, but okay.
Oh no, I know.
You're like, yeah, I was clean for a while, and then
I relapsed
now
on
I don't
Dunk.
even really want to get clean again because I kind of know I'm going to relapse, and I don't actually know if I want to be clean.
Holy
Like,
shit, dude, you're right. This is bad. I actually have to solve this now. I
yeah,
didn't take it seriously until you put it like that.
yeah. I mean, dude, I mean, sorry, but yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I do that same. I fall in those same kind of traps. I can't believe that you get bored. Like, the feeling of I haven't had the feeling of bored in years.
Come on, John. Come on, man.
You're just
That's
like,
that's,
I don't know. You're just
that's
rolling in. You're like, I'm making 200K a month. It's easy, honestly. And I don't know. I'm just kind of bored with it, you know?
there are parts of my day that are a little bit boring, a little bit slow, and like, but that's the thing. I need constant hits of dopamine, and that's the
That's a good
problem.
point. Dude, you know what I wonder is like, what did people used to do when they sat on the toilet before they had a phone? I guess people used to read in there,
Yeah, they used to read the newspaper.
like a magazine or something like that. That was the main use of magazines.
Well,
Uh,
second main use, if you know what I mean. But
yeah, right. Or like, what did people used to do when they were like standing in line for something? You know what I mean?
okay, well, that's a
You
different.
go to Disneyland, you stand in line for so long. Like people used to just sit there and talk.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're not going to Disneyland alone, are you?
Yeah, but don't you run out of stuff to talk about after like 3 days?
Oh hell no! I went with my girl to Disney World in Orlando
Yeah.
for Halloween. Like, they did the Halloween Horror Nights thing, and bro, like, that was like,
Okay. You guys just talked. You
I
didn't.
looked at my phone the whole time.
That's good.
I
Yeah. No, I don't know. Or like, I think
wasn't
it's the short lines. It's when you're at line at Starbucks for 10 minutes or something like that. Or
yeah,
you're.
I'll actively avoid that because that is something I see as an opportunity to not look at my phone.
Right.
And like, sometimes I'll be sitting. Okay, another one. Like, when I'm in Miami, so there's Brickell, and then to get onto the highway, you have to go over a drawbridge, and sometimes the drawbridge goes up because a big ass boat's trying to go
Because the
through.
boat's coming. Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes that bridge will be up for like 15, 20 minutes, and you're sitting there. And if I'm sitting there for 15 minutes, my phone's in my cup holder. I can look at it if I want, but I'm forcing myself to just chill out, look out the window, think, have a
That's good.
moment.
You're supposed to be bored. Like
Yeah.
when I say I haven't been bored, it's you are supposed to be bored. It's like when you're best thoughts happen. I used to run a ton. I don't run that much anymore, but I would specifically, I've like never used headphones when I ran. And people are like, that's crazy. How do you do that? And I'm like, one, it's like a self mastery thing. And
Mhm.
two, it's like you will have your absolute best thoughts when you do that. Like best ideas, best thoughts. All right, we're 15 minutes into this, so we got to decide on one of these. Which of these are you most excited to attack? I know I was most excited to talk to you about a potential offer I could do. When I heard your thing about like leading, because you're in this point where you can't scale yourself any further, so you need to like be able to lead one to many, not one to one, and that's a very interesting topic to me. So
Mhm.
that's exciting to me as well.
Let's talk
Uh,
about your offer.
the dopamine thing and the ADHD thing, I kind of feel like we can't. I feel like we're going to spend 45 minutes just talking about, just making confessions about things that we do that are not the best. You know?
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about your offer.
Okay. All right. So here's what I'm thinking, and I don't have an offer in mind. So like, let's start there. Well, that's not true. Of course, I've brainstormed some stuff, but I also see like problems with what I've brainstormed. So let me tell you like why I'm open to it as succinctly as I can. Ultimately, I think what I want and what my mission is, and a lot of this is inspired by you, honestly. So like, ultimately, I think what I want and what my mission is like, I was writing some stuff down the other day and I realized I made self-realization while writing. See, I have healthy habits too. And, I realized that like, oh, I have this goal where I want to make content that's like good for people, like educational, inspirational type of content, like the kind of content we make that's good for people. And I want them to like, I want it to be good enough that they choose it. Like they choose it just as much as they choose reality TV and stuff like. And I understand that's a tall order and it's a big mission. But I realized that I'm like, oh, that's actually why I'm so driven to like keep doing this podcast and keep doing this content and stuff like that. And then I was thinking about like people who I think do that really well. Obviously, you're one of them, in my opinion. Or I mean, people who are not as many steps. There are a lot of people, but like who's like not so many steps ahead of me that I can't even backtrack what they've been doing. You know what I mean? Like Gary Vee, I'm like, yeah, whatever he did to get big, like I can do that. Like that was years ago, right?
Yeah.
So like you're one of them, and I the more thought about it, the more I realized I'm like, I think a lot of those people have some kind of way that they're monetizing in audio. They're monetizing the growth of their content. They're monetizing the growth of their personal brand. And that's what allows them to reinvest in it. Cause every time I ask you about like, oh dude, your YouTube's really good. Like, how are you doing that? You're like, yeah, I pay a team to help me script them, edit them, make the thumbnails, all that stuff. I'm like, cool. Yeah, no doubt. How about this? And you're like, yeah, I pay a team to help me with that. Like you pay like several agencies to help you be as prolific as you are with content. And here I am over here just like freaking editing my own clips like a schmuck. And I'm like, I think that, I think that it comes from this place of like, I want the content to be free. But then I'm like, I think in order to like reach that goal and that mission, the audience needs to be monetizable, right? So that I can actually pay and invest in more team members, or just more like distribution of my own content, if that makes sense. So that's where it's coming from, and that's the motivation. And what I'm thinking logistically is like, I don't have a ton of time at the moment, but I do know some like very good free agents who are currently free agents, or some
Mhm.
very good players who are currently free agents, who are like good marketers, good copywriters, good media buyers, who just like some of them worked at Structured, some of them worked wherever, and they're not working right now, and they're just kind of doing like a few freelance clients that they know here and there. And they've hit me up and been like, yeah, let me know if you know of anything, if you're hiring at Triple Whale, or if you have any freelance clients. And I'm like, man, we could probably build something pretty good here. So that's like just me unloading it, brain dumping it on you. What questions do you have?
Okay, wait. So you're saying that you want to create an offer so that you can feed the content creation, so you can have
That's
more.
the motivation behind it. Like, I think it's like I want to create an offer, and I mean, I do want more money too. Like, I want to make more money, but I do okay with money. I think it'd be nice to have something more scalable from a money standpoint. So it's like, oh yeah, like I could like I don't make 50K a month. It'd be nice to be able to make 50K a month. I don't have a path really to making 50K a month other than an exit. If I exited my e-commerce brand, so all of my paths for like big payouts are like I can't do that next month. It's an exit.
Right.
So I think that would be nice to have something like that too. So that's like sort of a sub motivation, but I think the main motivation is that I'm like, oh yeah, like it also creates the revenue that creates the ROI on the content so that you can invest more in content.
Right. So okay, that's interesting. So you wanna have an offer so you can make content about the offer to make more content about the offer.
Yeah, so I can make content. I mean, it doesn't all have to be about the author. I want to make a lot of great free content as well, like
Mhm.
you do, but like a way to funnel people, like what Copy MBA is really. I'm not trying to make Copy MBA. I don't know a ton about copywriting or anything like that, but I need a way to monetize my audience better. Maybe that's a better, more succinct way to say it.
What do you think you would drop besides like how to do e-commerce or how to build an agency?
Besides how to do e-commerce or how to build an agency, and this is why I haven't tried. I don't think I would do those honestly.
What
Uh,
would you
Dude, my brain always spins up services. And so I've thought of like done with you services where it'd be like, okay, I don't want to, do I really want to go back down the service rabbit hole? Maybe, maybe not, but I don't have time to fulfill it. So
Mhm.
like maybe I could because I know some people who do at the moment, but that reaches scale limit. I know all the issues with that, and I know that's like it's pretty hard to do as like a little side gig. Plus, it might get pretty hard to make that like jive with Triple Whale and not be really competitive at all. Uh,
They're not services.
no, they're not.
Like that's what I was thinking of.
You don't think it's a little weird to be like, oh yeah, our head of consulting also has an agency? You know what I mean? Like maybe
Well,
not.
that's
It's not.
you want to
Um,
call what you could what
I've
like
thought about like done with you stuff where it was like where it'd be like, oh, like we're gonna put the system in place that like let's say it's an ecom brand, and I don't think it even has to be full all ecom brands. Like I think I could work with a lot of different kinds of businesses, but
Mhm.
let's say it's an ecom brand. Like let's say I have an offer for ecom brands, and it's like I'm not going to run your paid traffic for you. What I am going to do is I'm going to put the system in place that will maximize your results from paid traffic, right? So we're gonna put the system in place to source great creatives, to make they read those great creatives and give the feedback loop to the people who are making them, so they can make even better creatives, to make good decisions in our ad accounts, to like maximize like all of the things. We're gonna put all that system in place, and if you can't do it yourself, that's fine. I'm also gonna put the people in place who will do it for you for like a fraction of what an agency would charge, um, because I'm gonna find like freelancers and overseas people and stuff like that because I'm comfortable doing that and most people aren't. For like those kinds of team members, so like that's one I've thought where it's like it's basically a 12-week program where it's like I'm just going to teach you. I'm gonna put the paid traffic system that is going to be the best possible thing for your brand in place, and I'm going to teach you how to manage it and what KPIs to look at, and I'm going to put the people in place to do it. And then you can continue to get on calls with me on an ongoing basis for a while, but then like after that, like it's kind of your show, right? So it'd be like more of a like done with you offer type of thing. So I thought about stuff like that, and it doesn't even have to be only paid media. Like I've thought about also like an outreach, putting outreach in place for people or things like that.
Okay. Um this also might be because I don't know the DSC like world very well, but from
Yeah.
what I've seen, there's a lot of like competition of like media buying content creators or like just D2C marketing content creators that
Uh-huh.
like when I think of like okay, so the way to think about it usually is like on a personal brand, you should have DIY done with you and then done for you. So
Okay.
like build out some sort of thing where it's like maybe you have, and this would be the easiest money ever. If you have some sort of like media buying toolkit where it's just like a document of like shit you should do, like a checklist, that could be like $9. And if you want to have something that's like a little bit more upmarket, where it's like a $99 thing, where it's like here are here's like a starter course on like how to like do basic media buying or like D2C marketing. And then you have some sort of like done with you where it's like consulting plus more like materials people to go through. And then you have just like the services where it's like you don't even have to be doing it, but you are the one bringing the money in with your personal brand and you have one person that just fulfills on the other end.
Right. And that's kind of what I've thought of because that was how I grew my agency ultimately is I partnered with someone who had a personal brand,
Right.
and he basically just got leads, closed leads, didn't fulfill it all. Right.
Right.
And then I would fulfill and myself, and like I built a team that would fulfill it. So um yeah, I mean that's kind of what I've thought about is like some kind of done with you where it's like somebody else can do the fulfillment I'm mainly just like bringing in the leads for it and stuff like that. I haven't thought about low ticket stuff mainly because I'm like, is there really like, is the juice worth that squeeze at my size? You know what I mean?
Well, it is like, you know what I mean. Like you're still going to get some sale. Like you might get, 5 sales a week,
Yeah.
which like going to be life changing. No, it's an extra 2 grand a month that like you wouldn't have had that you're not hard selling for.
Right.
You could just have it in your
Like it's
bio.
just a in the bio, and
Yeah,
sometimes people go by
especially
it.
if you have it on like Gumroad or something like that. Like there's a discovery feature where like people will just find it, and if
Yeah.
they've seen you on Twitter, they're like, "Oh shit, John Coyle has a fucking little mini course." All right,
Yeah.
like $99 for a lot of like people who are in that sort of tax bracket where it's like they're probably like if they're in D2C, they're probably making between like 80 and 200 a year.
Yeah.
They'll buy a $99 little course to make themselves better,
Right.
especially with the social proof. But the one thing that I think you kind of need to focus on is like you need audience growth. And I was gonna say
Yeah.
it might not be a bad idea to hire a ghostwriter and like technically take a loss at the beginning because like you don't have anything funding that. Like you don't really have an offer, but you could spin one up. And like there's one good agency that I know of that a couple of my copywriter friends work for. It's called the Birdhouse.
Yeah.
Um, I've never worked with them myself, but it seems like they do a good job. And like, and then you can stop racking your brain on like, because I know that you think this. You're like, what do I talk about? Like, what do I even say? Like,
Yeah.
you'll onboard, like they'll onboard you and they'll figure that out, and then they'll just print content for you, like with
I
user.
I think some aspects of the creation process are very helpful for me. So
Mhm.
I've thought about I've done ghostwriters before, but I what I realized through that is two things. One, whatever ones I was working with weren't very good, and so I'm not out on ghostwriters, but I'm out on those ones. And two, I realized like, oh, I actually kind of need the writing process a bit, if that makes sense. Like the process of writing for public consumption is very helpful for me to organize thoughts and just like a lot of things. Sometimes I'll write posts and not post
But
them, which
that's
I know I could still do, but the reason that I do it is because I do plan to post and I just don't always. If I
I'm
did
saying.
if someone else was doing it, I wouldn't. You know what I mean?
You have to think of tweets. You have to think of Twitter as a platform or like certain types of tweets as separate things, right? So it's like
Yeah.
okay. So I have think about it like this, right? On Twitter, you will have top of funnel material, middle of funnel material, and bottom of funnel
Right.
material.
Sure.
You
I've
should
heard
have someone
heard
write your
this.
top of
Yeah. Go ahead.
you should have someone just ghost write top of funnel so that you don't have to worry about that because I'm the same way. I don't want to write growth. Like I haven't really grown on Twitter. I probably only gained
Yeah.
like 3,000 followers in the last like 6 months, which like for an account of my size is pretty bad. I should be growing more.
Uh-huh.
Number one, I don't tweet that much. And number two, I don't tweet top of funnel stuff that's gonna like make people follow me. Like I don't do threads. I don't do like those engagement baity tweets that are. I don't do like the DM
Yeah.
call to actions that are like DM me this or comment this and I'll DM you this. I don't do any of that. I want to write for my audience, which is middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. That's what you
Right.
want to do too. If I wanted to grow and I wanted to monetize Twitter, which I don't monetize Twitter at all. I would hire a ghostwriter to basically just do all that top funnel shit that I don't want to do.
Uh-huh.
So it's like having someone. It's like the way that like an email agency will do a lot of top of funnel, technically like sales emails, and then sometimes the founder will jump in and be like, "Yo, here's what I was
Write
thinking."
an email. Do you think I should do that on my main platform, which I would say is Twitter/LinkedIn? I mean, I just repurpose my content to LinkedIn, but like, do you think I should do that? Because I think that where I've thought about hiring ghost writers or like ghost whatever is like someone to like YouTube, for example, or even Instagram. Like, yeah, freaking just script me the video and let me like bang out 5 or 6 or 7 of them, and then you do the work. Like, I mean, those agencies might be pretty expensive, but like that's where I'm like, I think that's like the whole process is overwhelming, but the process of writing, I think, yeah. To respond to your point, I do want to write middle and funnel, bottom of funnel, but I also think that I want to develop the skill of writing top of funnel content too. Does that
Yeah,
make
but you
sense?
do it alongside the pros. Like, okay, I
Mhm.
also think that like you should stick to. I don't even think really Instagram is worth investing in right now for you.
Mhm. Or
I think
TikTok, whatever. Yeah.
yeah, that's like the podcast will be the podcast, and like people will watch it because they know you from Twitter and LinkedIn. You can promote it there. Your
Uh-huh.
YouTube will grow based on the audiences that you know how to do. I honestly think if you do Twitter and LinkedIn, you hire a ghostwriter, like a decent, solid ghostwriter that actually knows what they're doing, not just a copywriter who can write tweets, but a ghostwriter who understands algorithms and understands how to actually grow. And maybe
Mhm.
they throw some shout outs too from other like industry leaders that can probably give you some eyeballs. If you hire that and you buy Chase's thing, which by the way, I'm not affiliated, I'm just saying this,
I have bought Chase's thing. Yeah.
you're already on it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So like between those two things, and like because
For anyone who's like new to this, we both mutually know somebody named Chase Diamond who has a LinkedIn and Twitter growth service. He has both, and I'm on both, and they're solid.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
solid. Well, I mean, obviously, it depends on.
It's like it's very it's I would call it value, right? Like it's not super expensive, very affordable, and solid value for the price.
Yeah, and that it'll perform better the better your content is.
That's it. It gives your content a chance, right? Like you're gonna get some impressions. So if the content's really good, it gives it a chance.
I'm the same way on Instagram. So like, I buy a lot of shoutouts on Instagram to try and get people to watch my shit. I buy
Uh-huh.
team page shoutouts, and there are some times where I'll get like 10,000 likes on a video, and it does really well. And sometimes I'll get like 500 likes on a video,
Yeah,
and I'm
and
like,
then it can get hard because then you're like, oh, is that page just not very good, or was the content not good? Yeah,
exactly. Where it's like, oh, they have like 500,000 followers. Like, why am I not getting any impressions on this? But it's because the video just wasn't there, and that's fine.
yeah. So you got to find your like proven ones that you're like, I know if this page shouts me out, if it's good content, it'll go.
Yeah, um, and that's like content is a game of testing.
Yeah.
Like you can run through 500 different tweets that are going to teach you a little bit more about like how to tweet.
Okay, so that's fine. Like I'm open to that advice of like maybe I should just hire a ghostwriter that like knows what they're doing. I'm open to at least trialing it. I do think that my concern with it is I want to develop that skill as well. Like that's a skill that I'm like kind of committed to upskilling in, and
Mm-hmm.
I have concerns that I just like wouldn't do it if somebody else was doing it for it. Like you're like, yeah, learn alongside the pros. I'm like, yeah, I hear you. But maybe I would just play dunk shot on my phone instead, like, uh, so I have that concern, but I'm open to the idea. Then do you see a path there, or are you more just like, dude, I think you should just do that, take a loss on that, and then decide if you want to do an offer or not?
I think that as soon as you hire a ghostwriter, you should start working on the offer. And for your audience size, it makes way more sense to go super targeted, high ticket.
Uh-huh.
So like, I think we talked about before about how the only reason I was able to do webinars for like 9 months straight was because I had 500,000 on TikTok, and every time I made a video, I would get
Right.
like 40,000 views.
Yeah.
That was able to supply me enough
That's
traffic.
I suppose that at my like you said at my audience size, it makes sense to do that, and I agree, and I'm fine with super targeted high ticket, but I also want an offer that lends itself to audience growth, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like if I have like a offer for ecom people, then it's like like how big can you really get in that, and have your audience still be relevant to your offer at all? You know what I mean?
Well, how big do you want to get? Do you want to go full time with it and make 500,000 a month with an
Yeah.
offer, or do you want to have something where it's like it gives you an extra 30, and it's like a couple hours a week of just like hopping on calls with a couple of people that pay
Yeah.
you?
So back to the mission of the content. I do want ultimately I want the content to be able to be broad. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Um so I don't know if it needs to be like a consumer offer, or if it can still be like a business, like an e-com offer or something like super targeted offer. But I guess that's where my concern is. That's maybe something I'm stuck on in my brain is like I could probably do an offer for agencies or for e-commerce people, and I have enough credibility there that I could probably get few people to buy it right away, and that would get me some traction. And then I can do outreach like DMing, get some more people to buy it. That would get me some more traction, and then like content leading to it would help as well. But I think where I'm stuck in, and maybe this is just a mindset issue, is like, well, but then will that just essentially lead to this world where I like from a content standpoint, I'm like, growing large and broad is pretty much useless for me because it's only people who are like agency owners that really, you know, really need this offer. So, like I just always create content that is, even the broad top of funnel stuff is meant to ultimately attract agency owners. And I'm not that I'll lose sight of, because then that disconnects from the ultimate goal of like, oh, I want the content itself to like appeal to a lot of people. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, but it could also just be like you might not have to like use the content to sell. I like unless you want
For
to do
sure.
it. Like, the reality is, if you want to go
Top
mass
of
market,
funnel content doesn't sell anyway, so I get that. Yeah.
if you want to go mass market, you'd have to do something like what I do, or some like Ty Lopez SMMA thing, where it's like here, if you're at zero and you
Let
make
me
no money,
teach you how to create your business. Yeah.
yeah, fucking SMMA, like you know what I mean. Which like it doesn't sound like you want to do that. I feel like personally,
I think that's maybe where I'm stuck. I don't know that I'm qualified to create that kind of course or offer for people. And I don't know that I want to create that kind of offer for people, but I do want to create free content for those people. Does that make sense?
right, but I believe that a beginner biz op is a little bit beneath you. Like you have an exit already, and you work for like one of the fastest growing like D2C tech companies. That like you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
it's like it's not like you got
A
nothing
little,
else,
what did you call it? A little pithy.
huh?
It's a little, what did you call it? A little what?
I said beneath you.
Do you think that I think that, or do you think that?
I think that. I think that like based on your resume that I've seen so far, I don't really think it makes sense. It doesn't really align for you to have to like go and shill a
And also, that's not how I made my. I'm not really into like selling an offer that's not how I made my money. You know what I mean? Which I guess I did. Like I could make a here's how you do an agency offer. That is how I made my first money. But also, I'm like, is it? It's pretty disingenuous if I did that 10 years ago or 8 years ago or whatever.
yeah, maybe.
Um,
But like it's better than like some of the people that haven't done it ever, you know.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Right. If I was gonna do a how to do your first business offer, that would be it, right? Or it would be some kind of workshop. Like I don't know if you've read Noah Kagan's book yet, but I'm like, oh, dude, workshopping around like helping people ideate their business, I think is great as well.
Yeah, that's a little bit like that's hard to quantify a
It is.
result.
It is hard to say what is the like. What do you get out of this offer? It's
You
probably
have to you have to find like what would make a lot of sense is if you try and just do a ton of research on like other coaching programs of people that are kind of in your niche.
uh,
Like Client Ascension, you know Client Ascension?
client ascension, huh?
Okay, so they're like a B2B coaching like program that and their product is really good.
Uh huh.
Um, I've been in the mastermind, which is I just pay monthly instead of like the one time thing. I've been in the mastermind since like June or July of 22.
Uh huh.
And um, these guys like they've grown agencies to seven figures and like they teach people how to do the same sort of thing. And like if you go through their funnel and like watch his YouTube videos, like you'll see kind of like how they have sold and how they operate and how they pitch and stuff like that and how the offer works. My inspiration for starting Copy MBA was along the lines of you wouldn't know him, but it's Luke Alexander, this kid who was at the time doing like sales coaching, and he's like a peer of mine. Like we live in the same building. Like he's a
Yeah.
homie. But he had the sales coaching thing. I didn't have coaching at the time, and I was like, all right, if I could just do this for copywriting, would it work? And I tested it, and it did work.
Uh huh.
But like I
Yeah.
don't
So
know.
what you're saying is if I like look through like adjacent offers that exist, I might find
Yeah.
some inspo. And I think that is actually where that like done with you, like time bound done with you thing came from. Like I actually just got pitched on this offer that was short form. Like it's like a done with you short form thing. So they're like, oh yeah, we like, we teach you how to do it while doing it, right? And then we help you like if you need to get an editor in place or stuff, like we give you all of our systems. They had some like views guaranteed over like a 60-day period, is like 1 million views in 60 days or something like that. And so I'm like, oh, this offer I like, you know what I mean? It's like you're going to teach me how to do it, like you're going to teach me to fish while you're like fishing for like getting me fish. And I'm like, that's I think where I probably one of the biggest things that I am worried about with like e-commerce especially is like, dude, so many of them fail. Like I can't really teach you to like build a good e-commerce brand if I'm being honest. Like the
Mm,
just like I can't even, most of the brands that would come to me and like be like, hey, can you help me? I'd be like, yeah, I can do my best to help you, but at the end of the day, like your product just isn't compelling,
mhm.
and like people just aren't going to want it that much. And I would never tell them that. Do what I can with it, but that's just what it is, right? Or sometimes I do tell them that if I feel like they
Yeah.
can take it, but or if I honestly, it's if I feel like they have like another path. If they have no choice, then I'm like, I don't know, you got to make this work, so let me help you. But
Well,
yeah,
let me
like
ask,
that's I think that like kind of made me feel better about like, look, I can help you put a system in place that will give you the best possible chance of success, for your ecom brand or for your agency. Or I mean, I could help people create their first agency for sure, but yeah.
I yeah, I think like you also like you protect yourself a lot when you sell to like higher qualified people. Like for example, Client Ascension, like they don't sell to beginners. Like you
Yeah.
have to be at 5K a month at least. They ideally want people who are at like 20K a month so they can get them to 100.
Yeah.
That's who they want. Um, Also because they can afford the fucking the ticket because it's like pretty expensive. It's like 12 racks.
Right.
And so I feel like that could be something that you do where it's like like you can sell to a small audience of agency owners, but have the followers as social proof. You know what I
Right.
mean? Where it's like I would love to have a million normie TikTok followers or a million normie Twitter followers that like are just regular people, and like I have a program that's like for a small subset of them, where
Right.
it's like, you know what I mean?
So and everything I've heard is that it's like it's expansion. So it's like top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel, and stuff like that. But the way to think about it, the way that somebody described it to me is that like a better way to think about it is in circles. Like who's your core circle of people you actually sell to? Maybe it's agency owners, maybe it's ecom brands, maybe it's people who are interested in business, right? Or starting their first business for you. Um, and then like what's like the middle of funnel version of that? So like who, what kind of people are like those people are in this circle. What is the circle those people are also in, but a bunch more people are in as well? And then what's
Mhm.
the circle that those people are still in? It still contains your people, but they're also in that as well. And I think that's where it gets tricky for me of knowing like what is that widest one if it's ecom brands or if it's agency own like people who already have some kind of business. What does that like widest one look like that is like, oh yeah, here's like super broad content that a lot of people are interested in, but your people are also like your people is like are like solidly contained into that circle as well. And maybe that's where I'm coming from in terms of like I don't know what the offer would be because I'm trying to think about like what do I ultimately want to do. I want to create content that's helpful for people and like educational, inspirational, and for people and a lot of people, even people who don't have a business or whatever. And I want to make it accessible, like entertaining enough that they want to engage with it. And I want it to be free for them, right? Like I want people to like choose to engage with stuff that's better for them because they like it. Uh, and then I'm also then you're saying like the things that I could sell as an offer, I feel like maybe don't connect to that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like it doesn't have to be that related.
You're like, yeah, I think you're probably just sitting here saying like, dude, you're just overthinking it. Like, it doesn't have to be
Maybe a
perfect.
little bit. But the one thing I would say to be cautious of is like the unfortunate thing about an info business like this or coaching or consulting or anything is it's not something where you can test offers. So with
Right.
e-commerce, you know that with an e-com brand, if it's failing in the first month, you can spin up a new one and do it 10 more times, even with the same LLC before you like jump to the next thing.
Right.
But or until you find success. But with info, you don't get that. You get like one, maybe two
Yeah.
shots.
Well, because you got to get on a number of sales calls to really know it's not working. Like,
Well, yeah, which is why you have to kind of copy like what's already working because like if people see you shilling multiple products or different things where it's like, oh, this guy's just trying to like sell me. He's just trying to find a new way to sell me.
yeah.
And like especially if you're trying to make content around like more agnostic, non-business or non-agency or non-e-commerce topics,
Yeah.
they're gonna be like, fuck, like this guy's just trying to find a way to monetize. Like it looks cheap. And
Yeah.
so like you gotta stick to it. Like so and listen, my audience is not watching this podcast, so I can say this. But like I've been consistent with copywriting since I started. Like in 2020, I was a freelancer, and then in 2021 I peaked and I made a bunch of money with it, and then 2022 I launched Copy MBA, and then 2023 we did a grand reopening, and now it's my main thing. I've never not been a copywriter. If I was copywriting and then I went to crypto and then I went to dropshipping and then I went to like, you know what I mean? Like I can't
Yeah.
bounce around like that because people are like, wait, what do you do? Like what are you trying to
You're a
teach us?
copywriter. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I've been
So
consistent.
that's what I mean is like you've got to be. So I think it's like Mason goes in the Rolodex as a copywriter, right?
Mhm.
Any content you make, even if it's broader than that, like you make plenty of money content, but you're like, yeah, but that tracks down to copywriting. You know what I mean? Like it makes sense. It connects down. And that's where I'm like, okay, what is that thing for me? How do people Rolodex me? I don't know that right now, I think. And I think some people have a hard time Rolodexing me, and that's why. Um, and then like what's like the broadest version of that? Like money content is kind of the broadest version of that for you, or lifestyle, like
Yeah.
living a like high lifestyle is kind of the broadest version of that for you. And I think that's maybe what I'm unclear on. And so maybe this is like half of this is like two problems. It's half of like a content strategy problem and half of a problem of like, well, what is the content strategy even for? You know?
Right. The reason I said that though is because like I personally think you shouldn't drop anything until you're absolutely sure and it like hits you like a strike of lightning. Like when I jumped into Copy MBA and doing Inner Circle and like I bought it from Chase and I knew like what was gonna like I was sure that this is what I was gonna do and it started making money right away. Right? Like
Yeah.
we never had a slow month. Um, and so like I knew right away what I was gonna do. If I had some doubt, I probably wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
I think like, and you know this because you've been in business a lot longer than I have. You know that like the best businesses are the ones where it's like you shoot up in the middle of the night. You're like, yo, fuck, I have to build that. Like that's perfect. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And so that'll hit you. It like
So
it.
what you're saying is like what I should just do is like invest even if it's losing money in audience growth. As I do that, something will like it will probably form. Like
I'm saying
what the offer is that will help people will probably form.
I'm saying be patient. I'm saying like you have money, like you're good. Like it's not like
Yeah.
you're like "Fuck, I got to spend something up by Tuesday or else like we're gonna lose the house.
Yeah.
I think like maybe take a few more months to just like really think and test, you know, and ask around. And I think the offer the sort of like almost what would you call it? I guess like a cohort with like the 12-week thing. This is what I would do in this order type. I like that offer, and I think you could charge 10K for that or
Yeah,
more.
that's kind of what I'm thinking is especially if you did it for business. 'Cause like for example, we've covered this before and it's like dude, if it were like agent, like I've a lot of people schedule me on Mentor Pass for agency stuff, even more people schedule me for that than for e-commerce stuff. And a lot of times it's like, oh yeah, like what if I just like helped you get your shit together on this for like 12 weeks, right? And like taught you all the systems and everything. And given like maybe I don't all have that written out right now, and that's part of what's making me pull to the triggers that I'm like, can I really systematize it that much? But like, if forced, I think I probably could, right? Like, I think I would have to create that pressure for myself to do it.
Yeah.
I think I probably could, or I could create a, V1 of it that is good and could be iterated on and made better and better over time.
Yeah.
Um, and
I did. Like products like that, like they evolve. Like
yeah,
my my first version of Inner Circle sucked. It was literally just me running one on ones. Like just kind of like
right.
what do
Yeah,
you like what do you want to know? And they're like, I don't know, tell me how to get clients. I'm like, okay, we'll do this. And then they do it. And like over time I hired coaches and like the coaches that
yeah,
I like, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
And you really like what I did, which is like sell first, build second. So like when I first started opening up slots on my own calendar to sell Inner Circle, I was saying like, hey, like this content's 70% done. You can join the Slack and you can hang out and I'll hang out with you.
yeah.
But like content yet. So like you gotta wait. And they're like, all right.
Yeah, I think that I see certain needs as well. So I see some needs on the agency side. I also see some needs on the e-commerce side where like, dude, so many e-commerce brands are just like, so what do? You run ads and you just try and run ads and make it work. And yeah, you put email in place and SMS in place, but ultimately if ads don't work, none of it works, right? And it's like, okay, well, like there are a lot of businesses. Literally, this would be the only kind of business where that's the only way to make it work. Like this is the only type of business in the world where that's the only way to make it work. Like there's a lot of other ways to make something work. Like have you tried doing outreach to micro influencers and just seeding a bunch of product? Have you tried actually like who like super underutilizes organic content is ecom brands, right? So like I think like I could even put other systems like that in place for them. Like oh, you've got ads going, that's cool, that works, like let me bring you 12 weeks to like making organic content a legit channel for you, right? Or something like that. Like I think that's valuable for even like some larger brands. From small
Okay.
to large, I think it's
I
valuable.
think you're starting to carve it out where like to me this sounds like what a full stack marketing agency would do, but
Right,
just
but I don't want to do it on an ongoing, I don't think, and I don't know why, but I don't think I do.
well, I mean, like because then it becomes an agency. Right now, it's just
Right.
consulting. So like, and I also think if you frame it as like a four
I
week,
think it scales less if you do it on an ongoing. I think the value prop isn't. I think the incentives aren't aligned in an agency.
it also feels good to have a finish line. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah,
It
because you can focus on this is the deliverable you're supposed to get by the end. You
yeah,
know.
it makes sense for you and it makes sense for them. Where it's like, all right, at the end, because like when I had my agency, it was like I'm just gonna do fucking emails until the cows come home. Like you tell me when
Right.
to stop, not paying me, don't stop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like if I had a plan where it was like, all right, for the next 16 weeks, we're gonna do
Yes. Yeah.
like flows and then this, and by the end of it, you will have like a fully operational email marketing channel that produces 30% of revenue, whatever, right?
Right.
Um, you could do the
Yeah. Maybe
same.
you're gonna even put a person in place. You know what I mean, or whatever. Like.
Yeah, right. Like a freelancer who can just like do your shit for like 2 grand a
Yeah,
month
you work
instead
with
of
a staffing agency, then you become like they know they're getting a freelancer. You get a kickback from the staffing agency, whatever. You know.
yeah.
Um,
But again, this is something that you might not even need the personal brand for. You know what I mean? Like this is something that you could just like sell now.
right.
Like
That's what I think. That's what attracts me about it is that I could probably just find a few people from my current contacts and following to buy it, and then like I could graduate to some level of like integrating it into my cold outreach, and then obviously integrating it into my content and stuff like that. But I don't think I don't think I would ever do a bunch of content that was like sales content, like I'm doing this or whatever. I guess I don't even know how to do that. I feel like anytime somebody like promotes something that they're doing in their content, it just doesn't get any reach at all. But I don't know. Anyway,
well, that's the art, and that's like
that's you're like, yeah, if you suck.
humbly, like that's something that I've been lucky enough to learn how to do with TikTok. Where it's
Mhm.
like there are people that like there are videos where it's top of funnel and you're not talking about anything salesy, and then there are people where they make a dedicated video like you have to mesh the
Yeah,
two together.
I think some of the most effective ways I see it done on LinkedIn and Twitter are everybody just really drives to their newsletter, and then their newsletter is where they do a lot of the selling. They don't do
Yeah.
a lot of sales posts. You know what I mean?
And you have like two conversion fences where it's like you have to like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
if you can just sell on LinkedIn or Twitter, like you would
great. Yeah,
technically make more money. You have less of a barrier to entry.
yeah,
You need a really fucking good reason for them to sign up to the newsletter, and then a really good reason for them to buy the second thing. You know what I mean?
right.
Um, yeah,
No, okay, and that's the offer that's been on my mind. That's the offer that sounds like you think is like the best, and I could test market it a little bit, right? Like I could,
yeah.
I
You
don't
could
have
even
to jump head first into it. You know what I mean?
yeah, you could like, and that could be pretty expensive. Like you could do like that could be a $50,000 offer. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
to the right market, it could be.
Like, and it doesn't have to be one payment. Like if it's
Right.
four
If
months,
it's a 4 week thing, then it could be over 4 payments or whatever.
is it 4 weeks or 4 months?
Sorry, 4 months. Yeah, 3 months or 4 months is what I was thinking. 12 weeks or 16 weeks.
Yeah, I feel like yeah, if you do like a 4 month thing, yeah, you have like 1 month of like strategy and brainstorming, and then like 3 months of execution. Like I feel like that's not that crazy.
Right.
And you have people in your network that would probably like if you tweeted something about it, they'd probably hit you up now and be like, all right, what do you
Yeah. What are you
charge?
doing? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a handful of people I could already just send a DM to and be like, "This is one thing about doing. You want to do it? And I'll give you the alpha test or the beta test price."
Yeah. And like
Uh,
obviously like we both know Chase. Like Chase has done very well selling agency service with a personal brand. Like he has courses, like he spins up little courses. But
yeah.
it's the same funnel, like kind of like we talked about, where it's like do it yourself,
I
done
guess
with people.
that's the thing. I think the $99 thing or the $9 thing or whatever probably makes sense when the audience growth gets there and there's like plenty of people who are like, okay, well, your main offer makes no sense for me, but like, do you have any offer on like how do you make your first agency? Like, what do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, yeah, sure, it's a $99 course on like how it just says how I did it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
I have, bro, at this point now with Copy MBA, we have so many little low ticket things. Like I have like 10 products all under $300 that like people can
Do
buy
you
it
do your
in.
salespeople downsell them? So this is an interest. I mean, I wanted to try and maybe tackle your thing. If we only have a couple minutes though, so do you want to do that, or you want to kind of like? Because I was just gonna ask like what your salespeople. I mean, maybe that's a good place to start. Do your salespeople downsell those things?
Yeah, we've gotten two today. So we have a bunch of different funnels running. So
I'm curious what your position on downsells is because I actually think I don't think downsells help that much.
well, it depends. I mean, our sales process is pretty dialed now. So here's how it works. So we get on the call, we do it like a regular sales call. We
Yeah.
pitch 4,500. If they say like, yo, I don't have 4,500, is there like a payment option? They go like, we really don't like to do that. Like if there's a way you can do 4,500, let's do that. Sometimes they're like, you know what? All right, fine, let's do it. They put it on a credit card. And if they still don't, then we have a 2,400 split. We'll pay that twice, 24, 24. And if not, then we'll usually go the financing route. So we actually have like a lender that will do financing for us, and then it comes out to 320 a month, and we get an advance.
Yeah, the lender pays you, and then the lender collects. Yeah.
Correct. And then we have a 597 down sell.
Mhm.
And then if they're really not a good fit, then like we just tell them the fuck out. Like, why are you on my calendar? Like obviously this guy's mine. So that's usually like we got two 597s today. So out of like
Yeah.
um, I guess 8 calls taken, there's 2 people that weren't qualified to do any of those stuff, so we just downsold them.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, look, so I don't know, I don't know. We don't have like a ton of time to dig into what your issue, but like, let me ask you this. Like, let's focus on team real quick.
Mhm.
And you're saying like, how do I get people to care at scale without having to spend one-on-one time with them? My first question for you is, are there any lieutenants in your business? Or does everybody have a very clearly defined role? I'm a salesperson. I'm an SDR. Or a setter, or whatever you call them. I'm a setter. I'm a salesperson. I'm a fulfillment person. Like, is everybody's role very clearly defined, or are there like lieutenants who are kind of like overseers?
Yeah, so I have the coaches and then I have the salespeople. And so like
Is there a team lead of the salespeople? Or of the
yes, I have
coaches?
a sales manager.
What's that?
I have a sales manager.
Okay. Is he a person that you have to get alongside at all?
Hell yeah, and we spend quite a bit of time together.
For sure. But like, do you need to, or does he care at the level you want people to care at?
No, he cares. He's
Okay.
he's a young kid. He's young, 19. Wicked. Like
Do you
started
think that he has the authority needed to lead the sales team at 19? And
all of
I'm
our
not. I'm
sales,
not saying he doesn't. I'm just.
yeah,
I
no,
want to confirm something before I give you some advice on this.
all of our sales team is older than him. He's the youngest one. He just happens to be the best. Like he rips, and he took the initiative. Like his job. So the other closer and the DM setter that I have are not really managed by him, but he still like kind of hypes him up. He runs
Yeah.
the sales team calls. We have a team of right now it's only 3, but we're going to hire like 2 or 3 more in the next
Yeah.
couple of days. SDRs, dialers, and he's responsible for them. Like he's their boss. And so this kid, his name is Philip. The reason I love him is because he is super money motivated.
Yeah.
Super money motivated, which can be a good thing because it makes it easy for me to incentivize him. Like I told him when he hits a certain number, like I'm going to buy him a certain Rolex that he wants,
Yeah.
and I'll do that. And then the downside is he really wants to make way more money than what he's currently making, and I paid him 38 racks last month. He wants to do better than that.
Yeah.
He wants to be at like 2, 3, 400K a month because I know he can.
Here, why
Like,
don't you? Let's talk about how we can draw him a path there while solving your problem of needing to be side by side with people.
mhm.
What if you didn't have to be side by side with people? Like that, you just. Here's the thing: how did Chat get out of having to do that? He hired a lieutenant. He acquired my agency and hired a lieutenant or a general, right? Like he's like, oh, who else will care as much and be as hyped up and be even more knowledgeable than I am about this, right? So it's like, if you're the smartest person and the best seller and the best everything in your company, you got problems. So like this kid, Philip, or someone else needs to be better at sales or at leading sales teams than you are. And is he going to be there now, today? No, probably not. Like you're going to have to get him there. But I think that the best model for growth, and there's lots of research on this, the best model for growth for skill workers, salespeople, marketers, things like that, is the apprenticeship model, side by side. So you can't one-to-many get people hyped up and caring and fire. Like that just doesn't actually work that well. The person who can is there, like when they're in the apprenticeship model, right? So they're like a apprentice, their teacher, right? So that's what you ultimately need is like, you got this kid, he's fired up. Like, how do you get him to ask him? I bet he knows who's the next like best performer on the sales team. Who's the next like most badass person on the sales team? He'd probably be like, that's this guy, right? And he'd be like, all right, like, how do I get that guy to where you want to make 200 racks a month? How do you get that guy to where you are? And then how do you get him to get someone else to where he is? And how do you get, like, you need a system that's like self-feeding. Does that make sense? And I'm being very broad with it because of time, but that's ultimately like how you create like a department of people who like really cares, is that it actually is in the culture that like we care about money and we're hyped up to make a lot of money, and here's how we do it.
Right.
Makes sense?
Yeah. So like passing the care stick down the ladder.
One by one, right? But you need to
Got
create a system where one by one it works.
Right.
If you try and do it one to many, it doesn't work that well. Like it comes off as like, oh, here's our CEO doing this cool hypey keynote, like, ugh, right?
But that's kind of the thing where it's like that's what I
what you're
meant.
doing right now, and it's not working. I'm guessing.
Well, no, like I mean, where it's like when they're talking to me, because like, dude, really, like I leverage the fact that like I'm kind of famous on social media. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, oh, it's Cardinal Mason. Like that's who I'm working for him.
Yeah.
And then they see that and they get hyped.
And they're like, well, but I want to work with you, and I'm not really working with you this way.
Yeah, like my sales manager's not famous.
Yeah, but this is the thing. So it's like they got to know that if what they ultimately want is to work alongside you, it's like, okay, there's 17 rungs of this ladder to climb, and they're not formal. They're you becoming the top, like one of the top 3 salesmen. You become one of the top 3 salesmen, Cardinal Mason's going to notice. You know what I mean? Like, or if he sends you $100,000 check, guess what? He's going to notice. Like, if he signs $100,000 check for you, if he's signing $20,000 checks for you, why would you be alongside him at all? Like, why would you work on anything with him at all? Right. So it's like the way that you get, whatever it is, it's like the way that you get access, even as if you're a team member, there's going to be some level of access, right? You're going to like, it's not like you're ignoring people, right? But there's going to be some level of access. You're going to know them, for a while. After a while, you don't. But like for a while, you're going to know them. But the way that you get like top level access is that there are like, Mason has his generals. That's like his inner circle. Like you become a general if you really want to work alongside him. Here's how you become a general, right? So that needs to be inherent, and I would say it needs to be inherent before it's like clearly drawn out. Like certain companies, like I'm sure you were at Structured when they kind of like bloated up a little bit and there was too many of them. They get obsessed with drawing out exactly how you grow and like how you get promoted and stuff like that. I think it's like first it needs to like be inherent that it's like, okay, like how you become a lieutenant here is you're making $100K a month in commissions, or you're making $40K a month in commissions. How you become a general here is you're leading a team of 5 people that all make $40K a month in commissions, or something like that, right? Or or you're leading, 4 lieutenants who have those teams, or something like that. So if that's what they want, they have to see it's possible. They have to have hope, but it also has to be like they see that the feeding into the culture here at this company is how you get that. And if you thought you would come in as like a ground force salesperson and have it, then, you can stay or you can go, but you're probably like, that's not what it is. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay.
But the person you work with, who's your like apprentice, who's your teacher, he's pretty dope too. So like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. It's like, you still like, maybe you're not working with Mason, but like the people you are working with are pretty awesome as well.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I like that. All right. I'm going to call him right after this.
Call him up and be like, all right, here's how we get you to 200 racks. You're going to have to help me figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, we need you leading a sales team of all people who sell as much as you. How do we do that?
Yeah. John Coyle told me to tell you.
Be like, who the hell is that? Yeah.
Oh, they'll know. They'll probably follow you.
All right, man. Cool. Well, that's the pod. Is a good one. Went a little bit over, but that's okay. Follow Mason at Cardinal Mason or at Cardinal Mace on all the places. The content's good. If you want to learn how to do copy really well, he's your guy. If you want to build an agency doing copy for other people, he's your guy. If you want to just have a good time following someone who isn't like so sanitary, so clean, he's your guy. Wherever you're listening to this, hit the follow button, subscribe, do all the things that people on that platform ask you to do.